Hello, everybody. I'm just now getting started here in Villarreal de San Antonio. Hi, Angela. Good to have you here with us today. I just thought I'd start out with a little bit outside here. It's a beautiful day here in Villarreal de San Antonio. And you can see kind of behind me, there's a lot of shops and things in this little town. So it's a fun town to visit. Hello, Ian. Good to see you. And we're going to come out later this evening. I've got a tour starting in a few more hours after this one, after the Nativity tour. And we're going to go through all of the lights and things like that that are scheduled and set up out here. So we're going to be joining in the festivities tonight. The whole town is going to start up their Christmas lights and festivities tonight. And I see here Santa Claus is supposed to be here. So can you guys hear me okay? Yeah. Oh, thanks, Ann. Appreciate that. Got to get a little bit of feedback sometimes to make sure everything's going well. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. In case you haven't been on one of my tours before, my name's Rick Roach, and my wife Lori and I moved to Tavira, Portugal in September. And hi, Maria. Thanks for joining. And so we've been exploring the Algarve region of Portugal, which is on the southern end of Portugal. There's a lot to see, and all over Portugal. As we plan to go farther up the coast. Hi, Deirdre. Good to have you. And but in the meantime, we've been exploring this end of Portugal, which is the southern end, Algarve, Heygo, and it's a warmer climate here. Borders the Atlantic Ocean. There's a lot of tourism here, a lot of tourism during the summer months especially. Hi, Cloda and Sonia. I have a little trouble with my glasses. They got bifocal, so sometimes I have to raise my head back to see the chat window. Hi, Sam. And so we've just been enjoying our time here. It's been in the winter season, so it's been raining quite a bit, actually, and a little cooler. But today it turned out to be nice and warm and sunny, and so we're just getting a little bit. We've been over to Villarreal de San Antonio before. Hi, Ava. Thanks for joining us. And when we have been over here, we've been just kind of seeing the city. It's a great little city to visit. There's a lot of shops, a lot of restaurants along this, the main road here coming through town. It's actually a pedestrian traffic. It's all set up as almost like an outdoor mall. Hi, Cindy. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. And so I'm just going to kind of walk down this way before we go into the building with the nativity scene and show you around a little bit, and then show you what we'll be looking at later tonight when we come out for the lights and so forth. So you can kind of see behind me, and I'll turn the camera around here in just a sec. Once I kind of make sure everybody's getting on, they can hear me and everything. Cabrera, good to have you. Thanks for joining. So, as I said, the festivities are actually starting today here in Villarreal de San Antonio. And there's quite a few people here already. And this is kind of what the town looks like in the shopping area. There's a center around here, the Marqués de Pombal, and named after Sebastião Pombal, who designed and built this city after the 1755 earthquake. Hi, Leonora. So you can see there's people getting set up. This is a traditional thing we've seen in Portugal, is roasted chestnuts. So usually at events, they're going to have all the vendors out, but one of the things that they usually have is the roasted chestnuts as part of the offerings, and I tried them, and they're not bad. They're pretty good. They're a lot different than I expected. They're a really big nut, real meaty. Not a whole lot of nutty flavor to them. It's kind of an interesting taste. It's not real strong. Hi, Hannah. Good to have you here. Leonora. So just kind of showing everybody before we get started with the nativity scene, the vendors that are setting up for tonight. Then we'll come back down here. The tour starts. I've got this one coming up starting in about 6 minutes. So I'm going to head back that way to get lined up. And then after that, I reserved an hour because I didn't know how many people would be in line for the nativity scene. Hi, Mazola and Robert. So I wanted to make sure that I had plenty of time and reserved enough time for everybody to see and get the postcards they wanted. The nativity scene is it's really bigger and better than I thought it was going to be. We came over here and toured the area yesterday, as a matter of fact, and I did a little test tour, went through there. Hi, Angela, Robert, Nancy. Thanks for coming. So we're in the little town of Villarreal de San Antonio, and I say little, it's about 21,000 people, but there's a lot of tourism here, a lot of people, and there's being more and more people move into the Algarve region from other countries, especially recently more people moving over from the U.S. Hi, Angela said hi, thank you. And so we're going to be getting about another 5 minutes. We'll be going inside the building. And this is the building that is reserved for the nativity scene. As you can see, the Portuguese word is percepio. I'm trying to say it right. Not real versed in my Portuguese, gigante, but percepio is Italian word actually for crib, and it represents the manger and the nativity setting that is traditional that we see with Mary and Joseph and Jesus. And so this is much, much bigger than that. Hi, Kathy. And less expensive than USA, yes. Yeah, much less expensive. Good health care. It's a safe country. People are friendly. The language is a barrier for some. Portuguese is a little bit harder to learn than some of the other languages, but they have places to study. And we actually applied for residency here, so we'll have to be studying and be able to learn the language to a certain proficiency before they will allow us to become citizens, should we get to that point. And we can tell you a lot more about that. I've been kind of thinking about doing a little Heygo tour at home to kind of talk about the process for getting residency here in Portugal. Hi, Michelle, Natalie, Kathy, Lenora. Good to see you guys. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pan back around here so you can see me, and then I'm going to introduce you also to Lori, my beautiful wife, that is the other half of Rick and Lori's Grand Adventure .com and Facebook, and she's got her own sites as well. She does some things with artwork, and Lori's Mercantile and Piccadilly is one of those. And aww. Yeah, and hi, then hi, Kurt. She's got a great children's book out that she's working on right now called Jasper and the Isle of Hawker Reed. So it's a great children's book about pirates and mystery and all those kinds of things. So, and I don't know how to say Cloda. It's good to see you. Hi, Cloda. And we miss you, Angela. Yeah, so we're going to see, I'm going to turn this back around, and it's about almost time to get started, so about another couple of minutes. You can see everybody's kind of got their Christmassy stuff out for sale now, but these shops are open year-round. The aprons here, you can see the representative That one's got well, it's hung upside down, but the rooster is the national symbol of Portugal. So you see that on a lot of things in Portugal in the shops and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and head back in since we just got about a minute and a half, and then we'll come back out. Like I said, we'll take a break after this tour, come back out, and then when it gets dark, we'll see all the Christmas lights and those kinds of things. Hi, Michelle, the artist. Good to see you. And Janice. Thank you, guys. All right. Thank you. Okay, we got about a little over a minute left. So I'm going to go ahead and just tell everybody, feel free to, and I'll try to keep my eye on the chat to tell me to slow down or stop, or hi, Rodney. If you need to get a postcard, and I'm going to pan this down a little bit here because we're kind of close to the edge. This is, it takes up the whole building pretty much. It's 240 square meters. There are over 5,000 figures in this nativity scene. There's over 80 are mechanized or animated in some way. There's lighting, there's flowing water. So here's a little bit over here. Woody Allen look-alike? I don't know, maybe. Okay, so we're counting down, and I will just go ahead and start off. It's time to go, so time to start. So so I'm going to start over here, and then work my way around the whole thing. I'm going to go slowly. There's some people in line. It's not as crowded as I thought it would be today, but it's a weekday, and it's kind of in the afternoon. It's early. I'm sure it will fill up later today as more people come in for the Christmas festivities that will be starting here at 6 p.m. our time, which is, I think, 0 hour Greenwich Mean Time. If you want to take part in that, come back later after this one's over. So, like I mentioned, this is over 240 square meters and over 40 tons of sand, and I believe it was over 4 tons of rock dust, and 3,000 kilos of cork. They've been very eco-friendly with this in the materials that they use. They've used a lot of recycled material, and I'll probably end up going around this thing twice because I've got people that are coming in here behind me too. But I'm going to go ahead and pan out, and then if I'll zoom in on certain things and let you get some good postcards. So you can see, hi Janie and Jerry. I don't know if you can see everything okay and hear me okay. Go ahead and go down, and one of the things I like to do is if there's information or placards on any of these events, I like to come down and just let you get a postcard of that as well. So we got Portuguese, English, and Spanish on these informational little placards down at the bottom, explaining what's going on in the scenes. So it's pretty intricate. A lot of these are, you can see the detail. Let me get down here and show you something that's kind of unique. Some of this stuff, and we can see, maybe kind of pan back over here a little bit, show you the animation and the detail. So they have animation even to the point of this guy here in the back. I'm trying to see exactly what he's doing, but there's a couple of them that are working in the back on, looks like he's making something out of wood back there. And so he's a carpenter and making some tools or something. So we'll go back to, let's see, kind of a wide shot again for those of you that are just joining. And this is as wide as I can get. I apologize. I'd like to be able to get a really ultra wide shot of this so you could get that in your postcards. But for now, we can do your postcards this way. So this nativity scene The Italian word is called percepo. I'm not saying it right, but typically in nativity scenes that at least that I've seen in the U.S., a lot of them are smaller. They are pretty much just centered around Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus. Here, this is laid out in the era of then which Jesus was born. But there's a lot of elements of the local village that would have been around during that time in this area. So we're in Villarreal de San Antonio, which is in the Algarve region. Hi, Jim. And so the industry here at that point in time was salt and fishing. And of course, the Romans were occupying this area at that time. So it was a big military outpost nearby in Castromarim, where there's a big castle, and to defend against intruders coming from Spain. And so at that time, Andalusia region. So let's see. Let me try to get a little bit more detail on some of these things here. Hi, Melinda. And again, just let me know if you want me to slow down or stop or look at anything else that's in the view area here. You can see the resolution may not be just super good, but some women out here, and they've got their dresses out on the clothesline. We've got some areas over here where we've got some sheep. There's a shepherd with the sheep. Down here, this is interesting. This is kind of funny. So there's even, with the animation, there's noise and sounds and things like that. So down here, we have some chickens feeding, and a woman out there taking care of her chickens. We've got a little hen house over here. And then down here we have a garden. Looks like it's got all kinds of vegetables. I see carrots and pumpkins, and some lettuce and cabbage. They're tending the garden there. And then here's a water wheel, which you can see that in the times that this era was set up around 30 AD, or I guess 0 AD, Jesus was born. They're representative of what was happening. So we've got this water wheel and this mule that is going around and around threshing out the grain. Yeah, poor donkey, yeah. So those animal bird sounds are part of the display. Yes, they are. And I'm going to go ahead and get down here and let you see this placard as well. So this explains. It's actually, I say a donkey or a mule, they're saying a horse, but either way, it's a beast of burden. And this says this one's actually walking in circles to draw water from the well. So I guess I got it backwards on that. It says they were blindfolded. They walk around the well, and that's how they pulled up water in the jars to get water out of the well. So let's see here. Let me back up a little bit and get a little wider shot again. Hi, Martha. Good to have you. So we're going to go here, kind of give another wider, longer view of the entire scene. So, again, a lot of material in this. So there's over 40 tons of sand. I believe there was several tons of rock dust and about 3,000 kilos of cork. So a lot of this have been made from natural materials. Also, they've used very recyclable materials when they could, and energy efficient lighting. So the lights are LED. And look at this one about the shepherd. So you can get a snapshot of that. And then, so we see up here when we were talking about the shepherd, the idea that there's some sheep over here and a shepherd. And I know sometimes, and at least in the Jerusalem area, Israel, they used caves to shelter the sheep, but they also had other structures. This one over here, we're going to look at little sheep there and the shepherd with them in the corral. So, yeah, tilling the land with a plow. So we've got quite a few areas here, and we talked about the gardening and agriculture over there. There's a lot of orange trees, orchards, and things in this area of the country. It's nice and warm down here, so it's good for that kind of agriculture. And no, this is only put up once a year, this nativity scene, and they take it down each year and then reassemble it again. So yeah, it's quite a project. And each time they reassemble it, they add to it. They add a little bit of more elements. And like I said, this nativity scene, as it is in some areas of Europe and in the Presepo, is to keep elements and pay homage to their own villages. So there will be some structures here, and we'll see some when we go around the end down here, especially that represent the Algarve region of Portugal. And I guess they got a little creative here and tried to be a little funny on this one too, because they actually have somebody in the loo. They're opening and closing the little door there to the outhouse. Let's see if we could get another postcard down here. Hi, Tim. Good to have you. And we'll do a little... Okay, and that is actually how to say that word, Cajanier. Statuette placed in the nativity scene in Catalonia, Valencia, and the Canary Islands. Statuette is a peasant with a red cap, was hiding behind a shrubber tree. Oh gosh, okay, so tradition emerged 17th century with a Baroque cultural and artistic movement. I see. So that's a little bit of culture there. Let me back up a little bit. Hi, Mary Lou. Thanks for coming. So as a representative of the area, you'll see some domed structures. This area, it's a Roman influence here in this particular this nativity scene, as they were showing kind of the period. But later on, there were Moors that came through, the Muslims that came through and conquered Portugal and Spain, and then after that, the Christian Crusades came through, and that's how there got to be so many churches in Portugal and the Catholic churches, because under that period of time, thanks Joan, I appreciate that, it's very generous. After a period of time, being under the Christian Crusaders and their influence, they built a lot of Catholic churches. It was the state religion. So they were government funded to build I don't know how many Catholic churches there are in Villarreal de San Antonio, but I know that there are 37 in Tavira. And I've done one tour of one that's up near the castle in Tavira, and I'm going to be doing another one later this week on Thursday to talk about the restoration process that's in place. Thanks, Kurt, Cindy. And so that'll be another one if you want to kind of look at that. But later today, we'll be going outside, and when it gets dark, we'll see all the Christmas lights and decorations that are in the town. It's a beautiful town. They're really spending a lot of time on lights, and they have some vendors and some games for the kids, those kinds of things. So, yeah. So anyway, if you see something you want a specific picture of, or something like that, just let me know in the chat. going to spend a little bit of time here because I know that there's so much to see, and this is such a big display. It's kind of hard to get everything in one shot, so I'll slow down and break it up. Okay. Yeah. Here's the miller, the water mill. Yeah, okay, the strength of the water around the giant wooden wheel, which made the millstone move, which crushed the cereal grains, wheat, rye, and corn to obtain the flour. From the water mill came sacks of flour to make bread and feed the animals. So that's what we're seeing up here. Yeah, we're not quite to the stable yet, Cindy, and I'll show you that here in a little bit. So one of the things that they do here in Portugal is they have the setup and the manger and all of that, but they don't put baby Jesus in until usually like Christmas Eve, the night before. Here's another little animated feature here. There's another one over here. So as I mentioned, there's over 80 animated or mechanized features here. There's a lot of lighting and water flow, things like that to kind of really bring this whole nativity scene to life. Hi, Suzanne. So here's the threshing floor over here. We're showing that, and this is again, if you want to hold that for just a second or two. I'm going to do a postcard there. I don't know if everybody likes to do that, but I kind of like to do that whenever I'm capturing pictures of a new area, is so I can go back and refer to it later on in my pictures when I'm kind of reviewing the time that I had there, and it kind of helps me keep things straight in my memory. And so up on the top here, you can see there's a fortress, and there are so it's being it's an area of defense for the area. Hi, Joy, Suzanne, Joy, Jonielle, and Lisa. So this area is a very strategic area for military activities and history because of its location. The southern end of Portugal was very important with their ports for the ships to go in and out, not just for commerce and for fishing and those kinds of industries, but also militarily. This little town, Villarreal de San Antonio, it gets blurred sometimes. Okay, sorry about that, Jonielle. I will try to maybe slow down will help and try to just pan a little bit at a time. So we'll see if that helps. Thank you for letting me know. And thank you. Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad that helps. Kathy, good to have you. So we've got quite a variety of structures here. This one here was interesting. I thought this actually shows a little placard here about what's going on. Hunting rabbits with a lasso. Hi, Joan. Thank you. Yeah, it's very, very fascinating to me as well. When I saw this and I decided that this would make a good tour, I started researching it a little bit, and so I saw a lot of pictures. But it's nothing like seeing this thing in real person. It's just so huge and so many moving parts and all that. So this is a hunter trying to get a rabbit with a lasso, waiting for it to come out of his hole so he can grab it. It says Ecuador has an interesting nativity set. Yeah, it's interesting when we go to other countries and other cultures, some of the things they do. One of the things I mentioned here was some of the elements here of this huge nativity scene, paying homage to this town and this area, the Algarve region. So that's kind of unique. Hi, Bill. Good to have you. Here's a little bit more of a scene of a stable with horses. There's a guy out here, looks like he's trying to tame one of them. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Yeah, there's over 80 of the characters are animated and or scenes in some way. I think I mentioned the lighting is LED. It's very energy efficient. Portuguese people are very conscious of preserving energy and using as little as possible. Also, many of the components of many of the structures here are made from recycled material or natural material. There was a lot of cork used. You can see the cork in, like around here where this stable is, this wall. All this came from a cork tree on the edges around here. And 50% or over 50% of the cork used in the world comes from Portugal. Spain is, I think, like 25% maybe. And so this is where the cork trees grow, and there's a special process for harvesting the cork from the tree. You have to leave the tree alive so it can reproduce more cork. And so the arborists that do that have to have a certification to be able to take the cork from the tree seasonally and leave the tree alive to reproduce more cork. It actually comes from the bark, so from the outside of the tree. So yeah, it's something interesting and new to me. I thought, well, you'd think cork would be on the inside of the tree, and they would have to cut the tree down, but they don't do it that way. They harvest it as a renewable resource. And so let's see what we got here. So you can see here, this display is, here's an animated one over here of somebody chopping some wood and getting their firewood. It looks like it may actually be milled, so maybe they're got a carpenter and they're going to use it for a building. And then we've got a cart with a guy pulling a cart with a horse pulling a cart with wood and lumber. Is it a person that does this company or a town? It's actually a group of volunteers, and they do this every year. They put this all together. Tons of rock, tons of sand, tons of rock dust, cork and other materials. These tiles here are actually representative of the kind of tiles you see on the roofs of the villages, the structures here around this area of Portugal. So clay tiles are used for roofing. So there shows kind of a little area there where it's showing the tiles that are used. And here's another area showing here's a horse pulling a cart with tiles. So I'm sure there's a lot, and you'll notice the roofs of these structures that many of them do have those tiles. There's also the adobe structures. There's brick and adobe used in this area as well. And then have all kinds of farming. So fish and pork, octopus are all big food items here in the Algarve region. A lot of the food has come from the sea traditionally. Bacalhau is the word for cod. And so a lot of the cod that they get here, they preserve it with salt, with high concentrations of salt. They can preserve it for long periods of time. And then when they're ready to cook the cod that's highly salted like that, they actually have to go through a process of soaking and rinsing. And they do that about 3 times to get all of the salts that's a preservative out of the fish before they can cook it, use it for food. So here is, we'll see an area that is kind of a little Pombeline square like we're going to see here when we go out to look at the Christmas lights later. You can see it's getting a little bit more crowded here, more people coming in with their families. It's a beautiful, beautiful day, so more people are out today to see this, and it's the eve of them in this town starting their festivities of Christmas. So they'll have the lights and the vendors, all those kinds of things outside, and we're going to go out there later today and we're going to do that. Some really, really beautiful detail in these structures. You notice all the way down to the little, like this structure over here has birds. There's a little bird setting up on top of the roof there. And then over here, and we'll see another representation of this, is a stork. So storks are native to this area. Hi, Katie. And they breed here around this area up on high structures, very tall structures. So here's kind of another, like a longer view of, let me try to stay still a little bit more. Keep getting a blur. The lighting is good here, but it's not like lit up for camera work. And you can see there's a lot of Christmas lights. Let me get up here and see if I can show you the whole ceiling up here is decorated with Christmas lights. There's a couple mobiles, animated mobiles that are going around that to represent a flock of birds. Here's a playground with children. So we have a teeter-totter. Get down here where I can see this. A teeter-totter, a swing. And then we have a mother giving her baby a bath over here. And this is the beginning, so maybe you already said this. Where are you? Okay, it is a cultural center building, and it is in the town of Villarreal de San Antonio, which is in the southern area of Portugal, in the Algarve section of Portugal, down by the Atlantic Ocean. It's warm. There's sandy beaches down here. There's a lot of fishing industry. But yeah, that's where I'm at. They set this up here every year. I think it's been here about 20 years that they redo this every year. They rebuild this. And so yeah, we live in Tavira, which is about a 30-minute drive from here towards the west on the eastern side of the Algarve. Some more animation here, children and babies. There's one with a mother and her baby down here. And then if I pan up a little bit, we get the kids on the merry-go-round, I guess, so to speak, in those days. You'll also see some figures. Here's somebody with some pigeons or some other type of birds that they're releasing. You'll see Roman figurines and those kinds of things because of the area is representative of the era in which Jesus was born. So you'll see the fishing vessels here as well, the boats and the river. So the river that's close is the Guadiana River, and it separates Portugal from Spain. So, and then you can see with the river and the boats, there's the supply areas. They've got the barrels in the back to replenish the boats. There's even down to the areas here. We got, looks like some caged animals, some chickens and a pig there to go on the boats, or they've just offloaded from the boats. Thank you, Clodagh. I appreciate it. I hope I'm saying your name right. I do appreciate the tips. It helps. And so let me pan. Having to do quite a bit of camera work with my gimbal here because this is such a big exhibit. There's so much to see. I don't want to miss anything. And I'm going to try to get another one of these little placards here. It says the guard post, the Roman soldiers were well trained and weaponry and had good weapon and uniforms. The armament consisted of a bronze helmet, a metal helmet, and a breastplate that protected the chest, as well as wooden leather, and shield, short sword, metal spear, and a wooden dart with a metal tip. So those are the types of weapons and armor that the Romans wore in that era. So I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, showed you the lights up top there. Get my gimbals kind of stuck, so get that figured out. And this is kind of a longer view of the entire exhibit. Hi, Yen. Good to have you here. Appreciate you being here. So yeah, this is just so exciting to me. It's like the biggest nativity scene that I've ever seen, and it's actually considered to be the biggest one in Portugal. It's 80 animated pieces, over 5,000, actually over 5,600 actual pieces in the display. So here's another display of some sheep, some shepherds, and then over here a little well. Hi, Diane. Good to have you here. So the Roman stone bridge. Roman bridges were built. Stone had arches and pillars. The strongest bridges were built in granite and limestone. These resistant were in shale. So that reminds me, it's called a Roman bridge over in Tavira, where we live, about 30 minutes from here in the Algarve region. And it has arches. It's one of the most photographed bridges, and Tavira is considered to be one of the prettiest towns in the Algarve. And it's not just me saying it, and I'm not just biased because I live there, but because it's labeled that by reviewers and people that do tours and things like that. So, Angela, I'm not sure what the scale is on this for the figures. That's something I'll have to try to look up, and as I can share things. Sometimes I'm trying to go back and do some reviews on these on our website at rickandlori'sgrandadventure.com or on Facebook posts. If I get certain questions like that, I'll try to go back and answer those through our social media channels. And so this area here, this is representative of salt pans. So salt is a huge commodity here in this area of Portugal, and in the Castro Marim salt pans, which are close to here, they produce some of the finest salt in the world that Michelin star chefs pay over $100 a British pound because it's such a special salt. And the only way to get it, they can use mechanical harvesting for salt, but the only way to get it's called a fleur de salt, which is the flower of salt. It's a crystal that is to use just manual methods to scrape the salt. So they have these big pools of ocean water from the Atlantic Ocean. The water is very, very pure here, so that's why it produces some of the best salt in the world. And then they harvest it with the salt pans through evaporation and then collection of the salt as they go. So, and also just as a reminder, if you could be kind enough to leave a review and hit the follow button for notifications for some of my other tours, and I'll keep you updated. Going to be doing some tours in Lisbon soon. We're going there for a few days, and then we're flying out of the country to the U.S. We're going to be there for about a month, and we're going to do tours while we're there as well. And I say we, Lori's with me, and she helps out a lot, and so we have that channel together. And this is something that I just started doing recently, is these Heygo tours. So you can see here that since fish is such a big industry in this area, one of the structures here in the display is to do with the fish, with the they're cleaning the fish and preparing it for consumption. Also, you'll notice that there's a lot of these little, and it's more evident here. The fish are laid out and salted very, very heavily for preservation. The traditional fish of Portugal is cod. It's called bacalhau, and it is salted very, very heavily for preservation. And then, before you can prepare it and cook it, it is you have to go through this rinsing process. So you have to soak it, rinse it several times before you can prepare it into food. I'm going to look here at Monte Gordo huts. So it shows their fisherman's huts. We're in the beach facing the sea, sheltered by the dunes. So these huts were used to store fishing materials, but they were also used to live at certain times. The fishermen needed a place to stay. So there's a little dock with a hut on it, and you can see the influence of the sea over here. There's shipbuilding. Some more animated features here. Hey, Deirdre, good to have you. Hello, Margarita. Thank you for joining us. More animation, more birds, and you can hear the many sounds throughout this display. We have birds, we have donkeys, we have pigs. It's a great day for families to come out today. It's a beautiful weather and enjoy this display. So I'm going to pan around here and come in, and this is the crib, or what would be considered the area for the manger. Right here, and it's a cave, and you can see the sheep in there. I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit more. It's actually a place for sheep to feed, and they have the manger there. And they do have some people out front. It looks like it. One's holding a lamb, and then they have a fireplace going. So in Christmas Eve, they will go ahead and bring in Jesus, the baby Jesus, and put him in the manger, and have the other elements. So yeah, and then so you can see a little bit more of the structures here, and then there's water flowing through much of the display. So it takes hours and hours and hours of work to put this together every year, and it's then it's disassembled and stored and then recreated the next year. And they usually start it, I think, around December 1st, and it usually runs till about the first week of January. Yeah, it's the largest nativity scene in Portugal. Hi, Bernadette. Good to have you. I'm going to spend a little time here just kind of slowly panning. I know I don't want to move too fast, make things blurry or pixelated. I'd like for you to get some good postcards here. So I'm trying to watch the chat window. If you see something in particular that you like a picture of, do a postcard, just let me know. Thank you for following, Bernadette. I appreciate that. Yeah, if you will follow, you can get the notifications for other tours I'll be doing. Some will be Christmas oriented in the next, few weeks. When we get to the U.S., we're going to do some tours over there. We're going to get over there about middle of December. And something is flying. Yeah, we're actually, let me go look up that. That's so a flock of birds, and they do have, this one has an eagle over the top of it. I'll try to catch it when it comes back around. So there's a church over there in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a big Bible school church called Rhema that has millions of lights, Christmas lights. And so I do plan on doing a tour through that while I'm over there, probably about the third week of December or something like that. We have a grandbaby going to be welcoming a grandbaby into the world over there. So we're flying back to the States, and then we're going to, after we get there and spend a little time in Oklahoma, we're going to drive up through down Route 66 partially. So we're going to do some tours there, up into Utah and then into Oregon. So this is, you can see the stork I was talking about and the stork's nest here. So they're native to the area. They breed here. You can see them up on top of some of the old abandoned smokestacks of the tuna fishing processing buildings. Oh, thank you, Angela. Yeah. Leah and Washington. Leah, I don't know. We maybe Washington, but we might need you to meet us somewhere closer to Oregon, where we'll be visiting with our kids there. Yeah. So, yeah, we'd love to see all of our family we can while we're on the trip out there. Lori's here with me. And so we came over here and we saw this yesterday. We're just blown away. But I put this on the schedule when I first saw it, because I knew it would be good, but I just had no idea it would be this good. So kind of for those of you that came in later, we're in Villarreal de San Antonio. It's a town of about 21,000 in the Algarve region of Portugal, which is the southern end of Portugal, where there's a lot of warm weather and a lot of beachgoers in the summertime here, a lot of tourists from the UK and from the US and even from Portugal, from all over in the summertime. In the wintertime, it's still been pretty, for us, pretty busy. We haven't been here in the summertime. We just came here in September. We moved here on a residency visa, and so we're planning to visit other areas of Portugal and then eventually go over into Europe. So we'll be doing tours from there as well. And in December on our trip out, we'll be going through Lisbon, and we're going to do some tours there, and then New York City, and then, like I mentioned, Tulsa, and then just kind of journeys along the way as we see things, see figures and stuff. So I see somebody put in more info. Yeah, okay, thank you, Bernadette. Yep, that's good. Yeah, that article there does cover a lot of the more details of this exhibit. I believe it's they used over 40 tons of sand. Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm. Yep. And here's kind of the big castle, a fortress over here from the other side. So that's significant. I mentioned this area was used as a military outpost. And Castro Marim, which is right up the hill from us, of course, they put the castles and the defensive structures to the highest points around the region. So it was used to defend against intruders coming over from Spain across the Guadiana River. And as Rome and other municipalities, other other governments, institutions that had military campaigns came through here. This was a very strategic area. It was even used to guard against this area in Tavira and the Algarve region to guard against North African pirates from raids from North Africa. We're not that far from Morocco over here in the southern end of Portugal. I'll give another little view here of this animation. And to me, it looks like this woman is working on a quilt. Looks like she's maybe even got some things in her basket over there that look like, there's some quilting items. And so, yeah, if you guys could leave a review, follow. If you feel like you got something out of this, you can leave a tip. It's not required. It is appreciated. Here's another placard that explains the windmill. So they had water wheels for powering things like threshing floors and things like that. They also used windmills. So using the natural energy from sun and from water and wind isn't just a recent development. It was used. Thank you, Deirdre. I appreciate it. So back from eons of time, we see that people developed the technology to use these things. Portugal's a very energy conscious country. So they do a lot to promote and develop renewable energy. This exhibit here has LED lights and other energy saving features. So here's a lady making a basket. Let's see if I can zoom in on that a little bit more. Try to hold it still for a postcard. I tend to get a little fast sometimes, so I know don't want to get blurry pictures and things like that, or for you to lose an opportunity to get a good postcard. And collect those postcards and share those postcards. Share them on Heygo. Share them with your friends and other Heygo voyagers. I like the term voyagers because it's a kind of a term kind of like adventurer, which is we're always trying to explore. And thank you, Leah. Thank you for your generosity. And then here's another animated feature. So we've got, I'm not sure, but it looks like this guy is supposed to have a cup in his hand, but maybe he lost his cup. He's trying to drink something. He's got a fish in the other hand, so he's having a meal. Looks like there's a bunch of fish over there, some standard kind of cod there. So 3,000 kilos of cork were used in this display. Over 40 tons of sand. Oh, it's a Jewish trumpet in his hand, you say. Okay. It could be, Joseph. So we've got, and then on this side, we've got another animation. There's a lady here. So, back up here a little bit. And to the Roman market is sorry, getting my gimbal trouble again. When I turn this a certain way, it hangs up the edge of my phone. I'll do a longer view. I'll probably try to do one of these when I get down to the end as well, so you can see the lights as well as the buildings. I know this turns the view sideways in your phone, but you can edit that later and turn them right side up. Some people like those, and so I try to do one of those every so often. And then we have like a very, very beautiful structure here of a display of all different kinds of fabric and yarn, and there looks like they're dyeing all different colors. Our friend Angela, I think if you're still on here, who has alpacas and makes her own yarn from their wool, has a loom, and knows all about that. So I think it's kind of really neat to have all these different colors and fabrics and things represented here. Yeah. Go see Angela. She's got a really neat alpaca farm, a ranch. You call it a ranch or a farm, Angela? And has visitors come out and see all of her alpacas. They're sweet animals. I say they are. She may say differently. Sometimes they may not be as so sweet. So here's an evidence of a Roman structure, like the period of time. This was actually, I believe, I'll go over here and take a picture of the placard, and you can see. I think it was considered to be a big worship center for one of the Phoenician gods. So again, kind of paying homage to the area. And the history is we're seeing a nativity scene, and we're seeing representations of Christ and all of that. We're also seeing the reality of the history, which goes all the way back. The earliest history and artifacts they have around here are from the Phoenician period of about the 8th century BC. Yeah, Angela, I don't mind if you want to put a link in here in the chat for your alpaca farm, and I'll let you have a little exposure there so people can find you. Hi, Lisa. So this is the largest nativity scene in Portugal. CedarCreekAlpacas.com. Yeah, so it's a nice place. We visited a time or two when we lived out there in Washington. So here is okay, it's another structure. So going back here to this one, I don't want to forget. So I keep you guys. So keep me on task if I forget something or get ahead of myself. We got about 9 minutes left of the tour. I'm glad I reserved an hour because this is taking a lot longer to get around this thing. Yeah, it says a place of pagan worship. One of the gods that they worshipped here was the god of thunder and the sea, the Phoenician god. I believe was called Baal Asaph or Assam. Hi, Christina. Thanks for coming. Let's see if I can get a little bit. This structure up here is lit up. It looks really, really neat. It's I'm going to see if it's showing that it's a mosque or if it's a temple, synagogue. It's got a bell up top, so looks like inside there. It looks like it's a Jewish synagogue being represented there. Maybe a Christian church at later on time periods, because they kind of intermix the history of the era of Jesus and the elements that are in this area of Portugal. So here shows a little bit about the census. So the Romans ordered a census, and so people had to return to their native tribal areas to register for the census. As we know, the story about Jesus being in Bethlehem was part of that, the city of David. So we can see here that we have a group here that are all gathered around in the village area out front of this temple. And then, so here we have, let me get a pan of this. Herod, the temple in Jerusalem. King Solomon built the first temple, which was destroyed by the Babylonians and was rebuilt by the Persians and reconstructed by King Herod to captivate the Jews. The temple was created on a platform the size of 24 football fields with 3 towers, 1 palace, houses, and surrounded by a wall. The temple was covered with gold blades and white stone. One of the parts of the temple still survives as the Wailing Wall. So you've probably heard of that. And so here's, I'll let you get a good postcard shot of that. England, beautiful. Does a big bend, yeah. So let me get a little bit lower here and try to pan up to maybe get a little closer of the temple. If you get too close, you miss the whole structure. So I'm just going to kind of pan across here so you can see it, and then pan back out for your postcard views. Hi, Brooke. Nice to have you. So you can see in here that there's someone bowing to King Herod. Apparently, I'm not sure. Maybe this is, we got Roman guards in there, so. And back up a little bit here. Try to do another wide postcard shot. And then pan up because there's this beautiful structure here in the back. Sorry about that. I'll get my gimbal straightened out here. This whole village of connected buildings. And I know in different times, different scenes of like the Christmas story, you see Jerusalem is kind of multi-leveled adobe type buildings and things like that. So, and then also we don't want to forget about Egypt, which is a big influence in the region. And so we see the Roman chariots there. You see the camels. I noticed that over here there's even an elephant. It's being used to as labor for the temple. So I've only got about 4 minutes left, and I'm rounding the corner here, so I think it worked out pretty good. Just a picture of an oasis. And we see the tent area, and the nomads have maybe lived in tents in the desert. This is kind of interesting that they even have a detail of a buzzard eating a carcass of a dead animal down here. So there's a little more realism. So interesting to see all of the different things they've added to try to create a realistic looking display. Yeah, thank you, Clodagh. I appreciate that. I do. And remember, guys, to follow me, and we get notifications on other tours. We will stay in touch and go to Rick and Lori's Grand Adventure, either Facebook or our website, and you can see more of what we do in our travels. Some of the things that we do photos and some videos and things like that. You show the pyramids. Okay, yeah, sure, Leah. Yeah, these pyramids are here, and I'm going to say, oh, thank you, Cindy. Pyramids. A little closer here. And I'm not sure if what kind of wood these are made out of, if these might be made out of cork, because I know that's a material that they used for a lot of this display. Yeah, I'm going to get one more. I told you I would come down here and try to get a long shot. I'm not going to be able to get completely lined up. You're welcome, Bernadette. but I'll try to get a longer view here. Like I say, this Heygo app kind of limits me in what I can do with the camera, but I'll show you as much as I can. And you can see the line going around is getting fairly long now. And all the beautiful lights and things from the Christmas lights. So yeah, come back and join me. And I think if I time this right, this is about 4:30. At about another hour and a half, we'll be out in the town of Villarreal de San Antonio, joining on the festivities and share the Christmas lights there. So yeah, review, follow, and join us on our next tour. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. So I'm going to back out here a little bit, let some people in here. And thank you, Deirdre. Appreciate it. And again, if you have any questions, you can reach me, Rick and Lori's Grand Adventure at gmail.com. And then I'm going to sign off here. I'm going to bring Lori back in here if I can. Merry Christmas, everybody. And yeah, we'll just sign off here saying Merry Christmas, God bless you, and we hope to see you again on another tour soon. All right.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Merry Christmas.